Okay, so today I wanted to talk about applying painted paint and stain application onto my concrete slab. So what the process was. So originally I got a shed installed and I had applied some gray paint, dry lock paint. And the problem with this is that the surface, if you see, the surface over here is pretty rough, which is good, right? But the surface here was very smooth because the installer who put the slab down had power floated it, all right, and it made it very smooth. So when I painted this on, I left it for several weeks and then I drove on it, and the moment I drove on it and turned the wheel, it was peeling the paint off. So because of that, that was a bad job. So I had to rent a sanding machine from Home Depot for about $200. And when you get that, you need to also get a 10 gauge power cord to plug into the outlet because it uses a lot of power and it will trip the breaker even if the motor stutters, like you tilt the machine a little bit. Now it has a diamond sanding disc on it, and what I didn't realize at the time was that I had hooked a hose up to it and you couldn't really see what you were doing until you were done. It left a lot of grooves like this in the surface, right? And you can see there's a lot of swirl marks. Don't know if you can see that here throughout. All right, so I went from a very nice smooth surface to probably less than ideal. But since then I've applied the H&S coating, I think, which I got from Sherwin Williams, and I applied it, and so far I let it dry for 5 days. I applied one coat, then applied a second coat a day later, and then let it dry for 5 days before I put any vehicles on it. All right, and so far it's been okay. The only thing, like I said, I didn't like was the swirl marks that were the end result. See, there's even some lines there, and when it gets wet, you know, you could actually see a lot of the imperfections. See, there's little swirl marks here and there. All right, so that was one thing I didn't foresee. I took a regular grinder and tried to grind down the high ends, like over here on this slab. All right, and it was a lot of work. They do say preparation is 90% of what you're going to do. So you can see there's some more marks over here. See, it's more visible when the sun is just rising because it gives it a angled light. During the peak of the day, you wouldn't notice these swirls. All right, but I'm a little particular, so I tried to grind as much as I could. Took a few mornings, but you know, it's as good as it's gonna get. And you have to make sure before you apply that you really clean out the ends, because I want to paint right up to the edge here. All right, and you need to get some good sanding discs. I'll put a recommendation down below if you decide to do this, in addition to renting the machine. All right, all of these little things here, I'm going to fill them in, right, with a sealer. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is what I've been using: Seeker Pro Select Self-Leveling Sealant. All right, it comes in a pretty big tube, so you need to get an appropriate gun for it. And as you can see, like over here, I had originally applied it with a backing rod inside of it, but the slab separated a little bit, so it left a crack, and I decided to take it out and reseal it before I paint the surface. So there's a lot of preparation involved, so just keep that in mind. But I think the product looks so far pretty durable. I put this in about 3 weeks ago, and it seems to be holding pretty well. Right, you need to get metal trays to apply it, and a rod, and a foam roller, right? And I just use some cheap Harbor Freight foam rollers to apply it, and you can't wash them, so you have to throw it out soon after. So the cost of the paint is, I think I paid $65 a gallon. And over here I purchased 5 gallons, and I was able to do it twice, this piece here as well as that piece over there. My total coverage, I think, was 700 square feet. and I think they said they could do about double that. So that was enough to give me 2 coats. I also purchased a small something like called shark bite, which you could apply to the paint on the second coat, and that will give it a little more slip resistance. Right, so you don't slip in case it's wet. I haven't had any problems, as you can see over here. It's not too bad. All right, so just keep that in mind. The shark bite, I think, was $10 for a small container, and you put 1 container per gallon. So I bought 3 of them, and I had 3 gallons remaining, and I applied it. And yeah, so I think it's okay. The total cost of my project would probably be about $1,500, maybe $1,700 with the rental of the equipment. But it's something that we always wanted to do, because the concrete tends to wear off after time, and this is a waterproofing sealant, so that will allow me to, extend the life of the concrete. Now you can also purchase a sealer, which will go on top of this, but I was advised against it in the event I need to repaint it later on, or in the event I need to change the color. I don't think I'll be changing the color, but I was told if I put the sealant on, I would have to get one of those grinding machines to grind off the sealant before I could put new coats of paint on it. So for the time being, I thought I would just apply the stain and paint, which is one thing, and then see how it goes. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully the prices will come down as time goes by. It's pretty high right now. This recording is done in end of February 2022. Everything's been going up, so hopefully it will come back down if you plan to do this later on. If you have any questions, let me know. If this helped you, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe so other people could see this as well. The more subscriptions, the better the chances are that the YouTube algorithm would put this higher up in the event somebody does a search for floor paints, and that will help. Thank you. Have a good day.